So we back sound check series. This episode like 3 in 2025. We could be on episode, you know what I'm saying, 365, but we not because we like to, take our time with things. So we back with the usual bunch minus one. So we got Jay Roebuck over here, and then we got Sosa on the bottom. We're gonna have a nice little Sunday debate. Where we want to get started. I think I know exactly where I want to get started, right? Tory Lanez dropped an album from prison entitled Peterson. How? I don't really know. But did you all get a chance to listen to it? And if so, do you think people will support this project, or is it too difficult to promote an album while in prison? What are your thoughts?
So I'll start. I think, number one, I listened to the project, and I think it's a good project, especially given his circumstances. And it makes me look at other artists and say, how is this guy in jail and he's able to produce something that sounds good? And it's something that I can replay and listen to over and over again. But you guys are out, have all the freedom in the world, and your work isn't really meeting his standards. So shout out to him for that. And another thing I want to say is everything I'm saying is about the music and has nothing to do with his case or his charge or whatever with Megan Thee Stallion. This is just about the music. There's 3 songs that I like the most. It's Guide Me Through the Storm, Sailor Moon, and Verdict Day / Lawyer Fees Interlude. Those are my 3 standout tracks from it. Now, can he promote it? I think the best promotion he has is I'm in jail and I'm making music. Obviously, there is a section of pop culture that will never support his music again, which is completely understandable. And then there are those that are on the fence, and then there are those that just don't care. So I think he's able to promote it and he'll sell some albums. He's an independent artist, so I don't think it's as important for him to try to do $75,000 to $100,000 first, 100,000 sales first week. He can do 20,000 and he'll be good, especially because I don't think it cost him a lot to make the project. He's not going to a studio where he has to sit there for hours. He's doing this through a jail phone, I assume. So it's really just him and whoever's doing the production. So I think maybe we'll see 15 to 20,000 for the first week sales. He's independent, so he'll see the bulk of that money. And another thing that I saw is that he put all his family members on the track. So his dad is on there, his little brother, his sister. It's only family members on the feature. So I think he did that specifically to try to put money back in their pocket. So overall, I think it's a good project, especially with the circumstances he's living in.
Yeah, I have to agree with you, Jay. When I was looking at it, the first thing that I did notice, this is his first project since 2022. So, I applaud him for that. After coming through all of the legal stuff that he went through, like I said, I'm not going to speak on that. That's not my business. I'm not well versed in that. But just to come back out 3 years later with a project that sounds like this, given the circumstances, especially with the jail phone, is just incredible. If we're talking about it, sonically and musically, right? So I will say I did sit and listen through the first 7 songs of the album. After that, I started to tune out to the lyrical content, right? Because he's talking about, his experiences in jail and all of that, right? And just at a certain point, it's like, all right, cool. Like, I get it. You know what I'm saying? But I will say that there are some tracks on there, such as Free Me. I think that's the first one. You mentioned another one. So White Lightning and Guide Me Through the Storm. Those are probably the top 3 for me. I think what I will say for Tory Lanez moving forward, and this is probably because he is independent and streaming, if he can trim the project down to like 8 or 9 songs, just moving forward, I feel like that'll put him at a sweet spot, right? Just keep your name relevant, trim it down to 8 or 9 solid songs so that, people aren't just hearing all this filler and fluff. But I do appreciate him putting his family on the tracks.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I mean, if you're recording from prison and it's difficult to do, you don't really got to do 15 songs. Like, I don't know, save some songs. I don't know. You don't got to put them all out.
Yeah, he did 20.
Yeah, that's a little much, but that's the new streaming era. But I don't know how he's doing it. It's gotta be utilizing AI in some way, because through a prison phone or any phone at all, like, I don't know how you're able to take a voice and then restructure it to get out that static and that telephone effect from the voice. They working magic over there. That's all I can say. But I'll also say I think that whole that video of him recording in prison and then the jail fight broke out. I don't know if that was staged or not, but when I was seeing it, I'm like, this feel like something tells me it was staged, because he's smart enough to You know what I'm saying? Let's, tell whoever he's cool with in the prison to, say something for some promo or whatever. You probably give him some on the back end. So I think stage or not, I think it was great promo. I think it was very smart because people were talking about it. Like, damn, he recording and they having prison fights in the background. That's crazy. So it worked, but I think it was staged.
Yeah. I'll also say this. I don't know when he's coming home. I think he got 10 years. So maybe he'll probably do 7 out of those. And then who knows if he gets deported or not. This is one thing I want to, put on the board. Toronto United, right? If they can get the city together, they have enough talent in there to battle any major city that we have in the United States. If you get Party Next Door and Tory, let them squash they little quarrel, whatever they got going on, plus Drake, I doubt that The Weeknd's ever going to be a part of that clique. But if you get Drake, Party, and Tory in terms of singing, rapping, and versatility, I think those 3 stand against any major city. New York, LA, Atlanta, New Orleans. They got the artistry to battle anybody. So I think if Toronto gets on the same page, they have their sound for sure. I just look forward to see what could happen once Tory is free, because Drake has been standing by him and supporting him behind the scenes. And he's even talked about, one Toronto. So I'm excited to see what will happen in a few years.
It's interesting. That's an interesting point. I mean, I see it. And, The Weeknd might be, is at the top of that. It sucks because they were cool for a moment. I mean, I see what you're saying. They have talent. I don't know how they're able to do it. It seems like there's like this thing where the super successful from Toronto are like immensely nice at this music, and then it just like there's a steep drop off.
Yeah.
There's like you're either OD nice or you sound terrible.
And what's crazy about it too? Like, just kind of last thing to wrap up this topic. Look at Justin Bieber. He's from Toronto, and the way that he blew up, like, I feel like he kind of paved the way for like other Toronto artists. I may have that wrong, but I think for kind of this era of like breaking into like the American markets, Bieber definitely paved the way for them.
Yeah, I mean that's another guy they got on their team too. So they got enough people there to make something happen. It's just, do they want to do it? Do we see a Toronto project? I would want to see it where it's just them. Like, support yourselves, right? You got to represent. So I would want to see them all on a project. Give me 6 songs, throw Smiley on there for the love, you know what I'm saying? And see what happens. So I look forward to it, and we'll see. But I think they have something brewing. I think after this beef, I think Drake is like, all right, I got to kind of fortify the home front, which is really Toronto. So we'll see what they come up with.
I think the issue here is maybe Boy Wonder could probably put something together, but they don't really got like a big DJ that could put something together. Like Khaled could do that for the US, right? Like, he's really good at just getting all the same people in the room. Even though he's not constructing the beats or just doing any of that, he's just really good at just like connecting people. So maybe Boy Wonder can be that person for them, but I don't know. I don't know who it would be.
What would you consider, because I just thought about this, what would you consider Toronto's sound? Because I was trying to think production wise. I mean, I think I have an idea of it, but I want y'all take what is a Toronto sound?
I think it's the melodic rap singing, melodic rapping and singing, and being able to switch. I think they have their own unique slang too. So they have their words and their terms. So, you got to throw that in there. So I think it's really kind of what Drake has been doing. I mean, he obviously does a lot of different sounds, but when you think of what a Drake project sounds like, even coming for some Sexy Songs for You, that's Toronto. What him and Party are doing is a Toronto sound.
Yeah, I think. That's.
I think if you look at. Yeah, I agree. I think if you look at if you're reading This Is Too Late, like that project as a whole, like when I think about what Toronto sounds like, I just always go back to that project. My woes, like running through the 6 of my woes, even like you said, Jay, the slang, like that's prevalent in that entire project, just the sound, like.
Yeah, and even if you think about that song, the production is some about like it's like very slow and melodic. Even running through 6 of my woe is it's like the slow tempo, kind of like a chopped and screwed type of tempo. So interesting. It's probably why Drake like that chopped and screwed Houston sound a lot. And then Roy Woods and these other people, they kind of have that sound. So that makes sense. Okay, so we got Tory Lanez. He hasn't fallen off just yet. You know what I'm saying? He's still putting out music. But speaking of artists that may have fallen off, Sexy Red, right? So we gotta talk about it, right? Because she was hot in the spotlight. She was linking with Drake. I just saw a vlog from Ben the Don. Drake. I mean, they was talking about how much Drake talks to Sexy Red. It's like every day, which was weird to me, but okay. So Sexy Red, is her run finally over? She came in hot, got the feature with Drake, got the stimulus package. Is she falling off or is she just taking a break? What do y'all think?
I mean, it's all a gimmick. I think when it becomes more of a gimmick rather than talent, this is just what happens. So I think she represented a specific subculture in Black America and she ran it up, which is what you should do to get yourself out of whatever circumstance that you're in. But then we talked about this week one. It's like, can the talent continue to match it? And do people want to continue to hear that? Or do we want to hear some sort of progression? So she has some club bangers. She has some songs that definitely ring off. But at the end of the day, I want to hear something different. And I want to see you grow a little bit. So she just had another baby, I think, within the last year. So she could be taking a break for that reason, which makes a lot of sense. You got to take care of your family. But I think a lot of the songs she's been featured on haven't really hit that mark. And whenever you come out so strong as an artist, it's always hard to follow up. So her first project did 28,000, I think. I think she can meet that number again if she has a great single, but we'll see. And I look at Glorilla here. Glorilla is someone who started out really hot, kind of lost her footing, and then she got challenged by, I think, JT or one of the City Girls. And then ever since then, she has been cooking. All the singles, all the features, cooking. So, I shout out to Big Glow. She glowed up. Right now, you look at her, she's working with Savage and Fenty. She's working out every day. She's on Gelo's new track, which I know we're going to talk about. So Glorilla is a perfect example of continue to elevate beyond what you started at and then grow with your sound. So salute to her.
So I'll chime in there. I kind of agree with you, Jay. Right? I was gonna say that thing about Glorilla. Like when we look at it, that song. I don't know if y'all remember that song "Cha Cha" that she did with Fabio, right? When that shit dropped, it was just like we thought, like, yo, Glorilla's falling off, like, But I think the difference here is that Glorilla has a good team in CMG that's just allowed her to just develop, right? Like she's really just carrying the label. They put all the label budget towards her, as you can see. Like you don't really see anything from Moneybagg Yo like that anymore. It's really just features from him. So I think Sexy Red, she needs to have one good, like, just summer banger. I think she's going to start falling into that Tyga category, right? She's just here for summer hits, and then she just goes back in and just continues to live her life doing whatever else she does. So that's my take there.
I think she has to find a lane. Like she has her niche or whatever, but she hasn't fallen into a lane that can stand the test of time. That when they did that song with Bruno Mars, it seemed like from the media's point of view, people were that's when people were kind of getting tired of it and it felt forced. So she has to figure out how to still keep her branding, but like find something that's not going to feel so raunchy and can the mainstream media can attach to it. But Glorilla is a good point, and I saw some the other day. They said Yo Gotti, as an executive, if you're signed to CMG, what he does is he lets you do whatever you want as an artist. He's the type of label that he'll ask you what do you want to do, and then he'll give you some advice. Like, I don't think you should do it, but he's still gonna let you do it if you really insist and fund it. And if it fails, he's gonna tell you, hey, I told you not to. But so he seems like a great executive to be under. It's probably why she did that BET Awards show where she was like nobody agreed with it because she was doing some type of trying to do choreography and this like sexy type of thing. And it was just too early for that. And that was probably what she wanted to do. Yo Gotti's like, if you want to do it, then I'm gonna, go ahead and do it. But it didn't work. And she did a great job bouncing back from that. So speaking of Glorilla, Gelo, right? Gelo's got new record. It's probably gonna come out in a couple of weeks. They just were seen shooting a music video for it. where they announced Glorilla's on the feature. Now we heard part of the song already with the viral Lamelo, not Lamelo, but who's the other Lonzo, with the viral Lonzo clip of him dancing in the locker room. Can you please that jump? So we got the new single. It's coming. What do you think? Do you think Gelo's going to be able to capitalize on what he was able to start the year out with, or do you think it's going to be downward trend from here?
I think that is a perfect example of GSS, and I'm going to call that Great Snippet Syndrome, where the snippet is so good that the song can't compete with it. Because I was hyped to listen, so I get in the car, I'm like, I bet. I turn it up, and it's not hitting like the snippet, because I'm just thinking of Alonzo like this, and I'm like, the bass isn't hitting the same, like his vocals aren't hitting the same as the snippet. I don't know, because they were playing it on a loudspeaker, but I had it in a car. So it's a good song. Like, it's a good song, but I just expected greatness because the snippet was just that potent, where I was like, all right, I really want to hear what his follow-up is going to be. So it's not bad. It's certainly good, especially for someone who is new to the music industry. And I think he got a good feature. She did well on it, but it's just like, when the snippets are so good, like, how do you match it? And this reminds me of, like, I think J. Cole had a snippet one time that was supposed to be fire, and then the song came out, wasn't as good. When Drake just did Crying in Chanel, the snippet was mad good, but that ended up being the end of the song and not the whole song. So I'm like, damn, I wanted more of what I heard in that little sample. So I think it's a good record, but stop making the snippet better than the song. We got to fix that, please.
I definitely agree there. I think same thing. I'm like hype, ready to hear the song. I'm in the gym, put in the headphones. I'm like, what is this? His vocals sound off from the track. Like, it's just not matching up. And I'm just looking at it. So then I skipped to Glorilla's part. I'm just like, this is not a good song at all. Like, so what I think Gelo should do now, his next move is try to get featured on other people's tracks, right? That's really where you can kind of take your talent and add something new to their tracks instead of trying to give us the same formula on some DaBaby shit. Because like after a while, it's gonna get boring. It's gonna get boring. So bring that uniqueness to like other people's tracks.
Yeah,
is what I would say.
I think these the Glorilla feature, it makes sense. It also doesn't at the same time, because I think they're going for virality, and she's known to go viral with her lyrics. At least she'll get one line to go viral. She's very viral as an artist, so kind of made sense. Maybe the music video will go viral some in it, but he needs to be pairing up with rappers that rap on that same type of beat, or southern Louisiana, Texas type rappers. But yeah, I think it's the verdict is out to see where his career is gonna go. I think advice wise, I agree with Sosa. I think he needs to be doing features, because what I've seen is, I think his weak point is verses. Now he could get through a first verse. It's the second verse where it's like, I don't want to hear nothing else. So I think if he does hooks and he does features, he might be able to get some more notoriety. Or he can even do short songs like Boss Man D'Lo does: a hook, a verse, a hook, end of the song. And just drop songs that are a minute 30 long, that kind of feeds off of that whole his snippets are going so hard type of thing. But yeah, when you have a song going viral, I also think he waited too long. And it's probably due to the label deals and trying to get the deal situated. Then they're like, okay, they had the whole year planned out, but that song was going viral the same time the other song was going viral, and then we're just getting it. People kind of they over it. You gotta drop that song when people they want it. So I think they just waited a little too long on that one. So he got to drop another record. He just got to keep going, and then he'll catch another one. But speaking of basketball players, the NBA, and things of that nature, we're gonna get off topic, then back on topic. But I want to know, you. I'm sure you all saw LeBron confronting Stephen A. Smith mid game over him speaking about Bronny in the media. It went viral everywhere. It's very interesting for him to choose to do that in the middle of a game. So I want to get your thoughts. What do you guys think from what you saw?
I didn't even realize that it was in the middle of the game. I thought it was at the end, but then as I'm going through social media, they're like, no, he did this, and then they came back and won the game. So that was fire. I mean, I I watched all the comments that Stephen A. Smith said. I don't think that they were that out of line. I don't think that they were more out of line than anything or any of the critics have said about LeBron over the years. Like I didn't think it was that bad. I mean, he talked about, Bronny and LeBron, and he's saying, you're putting him out there, he's not ready, save him. I don't think it was that bad. And like Stephen A. Smith said, he said, my critique was more of you than it was about Bronny. So I think LeBron, anytime your child gets brought into it, those emotions start to flare. So Bron probably saw him sitting over there all game and was like, the moment that a timeout is called, I'ma holla at him. And Stephen A. Smith did not even have a chance to respond. LeBron said what he said, repeated it, and then walked off on him. So it was a scene. I mean, this has been happening in the NBA all week where people are getting into arguments or back and forth with players. So that was tough, but I'm sure they'll get on the phone. I think Stephen A. Smith said Draymond Green isn't talking to him either. So if you beefing with Bron, you beefing with Dre too. But I think they'll definitely get on the phone for sure.
When you look at it historically, Stephen A has beefed with KD in the public, in the media and all of that. Like we've seen KD go back to back with tweets, right? So I think that moment was cold. I'm not a dad, but I think as a father, that was cold to see him stepping up for his son. I understand some people, given the circumstance, they're basketball players or critics, but at the end of the day, like that's his son before he is his, teammate, right? So I kind of respect that. Some things that I do have questions about is what led up to this, right? Like, is Bronny going to Bron and asking him for advice on how to navigate some of these situations, right? Where he's being brought up about being thrown into the fire. Is that kind of what spurred this? So I think there's a lot more behind the scenes that have happened that we aren't privy to, right? For us to kind of get to this moment. And I relate that to like what happened with Will Smith and Chris Rock. There was other things that happened behind the scenes while the cameras weren't rolling during the awards that kind of led up to that. So, I get it. It's a little weird seeing it happen, but at the same time, I respect it as a father. For him, I respect it.
Yeah, I agree. I think there was nothing said from Stephen A. that was out of line or out of the ordinary or something that anybody else is saying about Bronny and nepotism. And hey, maybe you should just stay in the G League for a little longer. Basically, Stephen A. is just like, why is he keep getting playing time? He's not ready. Let him develop. But it was I think my take on this is, and I thought about it and I talked to a few other people trying to make sense of it all. I believe LeBron did this in order to get a message to all of media through Stephen A. by doing this publicly, because he could contact Stephen A. on the side. Maybe he will go on ESPN and talk about it, but there's no video of you doing it, so it doesn't hold as much weight. But he did it publicly, knowing people are recording. He didn't even do the towel over the mouth thing to try to cover it so people can read his lips. He just blatantly did it. People read lips. So it felt like he was sending a message to Stephen A. through Stephen A. to the media, knowing he's gonna go on, on ESPN and talk about it and things like that. Yeah, I think this is just a dad doing a dad thing. But I believe, well, let me ask, do you think this makes it even more difficult and it puts the spotlight more on Bronny because he did this rather than helping Bronny like he was trying to do through doing it?
Yeah, I think it makes it two factions. It's LeBron is right, and then there's no, LeBron is wrong and calling him all kinds of names for doing it. So if you see on social media, the media has taken two sides. Now some people are going even harder at Bron because it got the reaction. So like people like Skip, who have been talking about LeBron for 15 to 20 years, every single day, LeBron has never reacted. Now he got to react. He reacted to something. So now people are going to continue to try to get under his skin, because anytime LeBron does or says something, it's national headlines. So if you're a reporter or if you're a media personality who wants to get your name out there, they're gonna go at him and hope that he says something, or hope he retweets something, or hope that he says something to them in person, because that's the quickest way to go viral. This is a story that's dominated sports media, and it's not about play; it's about a conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it definitely makes it harder for him moving forward. The one thing that I'm gonna be super interested in seeing is whenever that LeBron doc drop, I feel like we won't get the whole backstory to this situation, and that's why I'm saying like we can't really just go off of what was said, because I think once that doc drops, like we're gonna see this moment in there, whether it's him just addressing it simply and giving us the backstory, or us seeing kind of like what played out and led to it. I think this moment's gonna be in there.
So the last thing I'll say is, I think this was the cause of LeBron seeing the media banter get to Bronny, and maybe Bronny didn't go to him personally and bring it up, but he knows his son, and he may have seen it affecting him in a way that he didn't like, so he went and spoke on it. Because if you remember when Bronny first got in the league, LeBron he's quoted saying, I don't know why the media keeps talking on Bronny. He's like, Bronny doesn't even pay attention to the media. He goes and practices. He comes home. He plays video games. He has no idea what you're all saying about him. So there's no point to talk about him. So that was him early on, just saying like leave him alone. But also like he's not bothered by this media stuff. Now he's coming out and pressing the media about talking about him. So I feel like Bronny is getting bothered by the media in some way, shape, or form, and LeBron felt the need to, nip it in the butt. So, they're going home eating dinner. I don't know. Who knows? Maybe something getting to him. But that's just my take. Who knows? We'll see more. Maybe in the LeBron doc.
Picture any 20 or 21-year-old saying that they're not on social media and not paying attention.
I felt like that was nonsense. I'm like, come on, Brian. He's on social media. He's seeing the banter, bro. Like, there's no way you're not seeing the banter.
That felt he's not seeing it. His girl seeing it. Yeah, his girl seeing it and telling him. So come on, I'm not listening to that.
It's impossible. Yeah, that was silly. But yeah. So speaking of celebrities and their son, I want to segue from LeBron. We'll get back to the music tip with DDG, right? So I have a few questions about DDG. One that's been lingering, but now he's been in the media with this whole him and Halle Bailey, and their whole thing with their son. But first, before we get to that, DDG, he's gone viral with Blackboy Max. He's gone viral with Blueface. He's got another song brewing with Bia that went viral. But I want to know, do you consider him a rapper, or is he a streamer that just happens to rap? What is your take on this?
I mean, I think this is the new age rapper. They used to say ball players want to be rappers and rappers want to be ball players. Now it's streamers want to be rappers and rappers want to be streamers. So I think he can live in both lanes because they're so connected. He's also extremely smart, right? He's book smart, yes, but he's also internet smart. And he's one of the pioneers of the streaming game and also the streamers into rappers game. So I'm not going to look at him and ever say, he's one of the hottest artists. But I will look at him and I will listen to the music. Like if he says I'm going to drop something, I'm probably going to check it out 9 times out of 10 because the music is not bad. Like Moonwalking in Calabasas is pretty good. Whatever the viral song he has where people are doing this thing on TikTok,
Pink Dread,
that's good too. Like, yeah, Pink Dreads, that's good too. So it's not like he's trash, because if he was trash, I would never listen again. But I don't think he doesn't fall in that category of rapper to me, but he does fall in that category of sometimes I do music and it's all right. Like I don't look at Gelo Ball as a rapper. He's a hooper to me, but yeah, he can make music. So that's just the era that we're in, where these two things are just in the same lane or adjacent to each other.
Yeah, I would say I agree there. And the reason why I say that is because when I look at DDG, he's the type person that's going to sit down and try to understand what lanes he could tap into. So he started off YouTube, right? Kind of just ran that up. And then from there, he started doing like secondary channels and stuff like that. And then I felt like he was like one of those first YouTubers to start branching out to secondary channels and having a third channel. And then from there, he went to the streaming game. All right, cool. Like, I understand how YouTube works. Now I'm understanding how streaming works. I think he looked at music from, like you said, Jay, from like a book smart perspective and said, all right, cool. I see something that these rappers don't see. Cause like a lot of these rappers, let's be honest, right? They're just in the studio with one of their friends. They kind of get a hit, or they have somebody in the industry that brings them in. They're not really understanding the business of it. And I think DDG really understands that really well. So I would say that he is more so a streamer who happens to rap. I wouldn't call him a rapper. He's more so he understands the way that the game works when it comes to music, and he's like, nah, I need a piece. So
Yeah. I mean, I
yeah,
think it goes hand in hand even more so than uh basketball playing rapper. It's like a streamer or a YouTuber. I mean, they're literally like the method, as he says himself. He thought about it. I can go to a label, get a record deal, and they're gonna give me a bunch of money because they know I can make a song go viral. Because what I do is make things go viral anyways. So why not, get a record deal and make a song go viral? He's also the, I was living in Glendale. I lived with, in the same apartments as his team and whatnot. So he has this artist, Baby Rich, that apparently he signed his artist like early on in his career, like early on in DDG's career. So he was smart enough to let me go to the label, see if y'all can give me some money to sign artists. So he signed the artist before he still has him under his label, and he showed him the whole YouTubing game. So yeah, I would say he's a YouTuber, streamer, content creator, plus a rapper. So overall, I guess he's an entertainer in a way. But do you think, with him doing all of these things, do you think that plays a part in his whole debacle right now with Hallie and his son Halo and not being able to see his son and all of this stuff that's going on in the media?
He's in a lose-lose situation. Number one, as a father, you want to be there for your child every single day. If you miss your son waking up or you miss your daughter waking up, it could kill your day because that's yours. And you need to be there to provide for them because they need you. So now as he goes to the internet, they're going to say, oh, why are you bringing the problems to the internet? Right? If he doesn't bring it to the internet and she brings it to the internet, it's, oh, he's a deadbeat dad. Then they're saying, oh, why don't you go to court? And he says, well, I don't want to go to court because it could get messy, which court does get messy, especially for dads. If you look at the rate for dads who win whole custody, it's very rare that it happens. And she seems like a fit parent. So I think the best thing that they can do is try to settle this amicably. But if you're on stream with women and you're going on these dates, which are probably staged, emotions get involved as much as either party might try to downplay it. It's gonna happen. So I just wish that they can come to a agreeable, fair decision that's in the best interest of the child. Because as a dad who's in the media, you can't win. The internet is undefeated, and as well as he knows the internet, they will turn on you for nothing, for wanting to see your kid. So I hope it gets resolved, but that's just a messy situation.
yeah, I hope it does too. Because I think one thing that I see in the situation, and DDG said this himself, right? He's getting paid to live his life, right? So each day, or you could say each week, is an episode, right? Versus like if you have an actor, they're on set, like a season doesn't drop until like maybe a few months after they finish recording and everything. So your takes on like what's going on in this case, the dating on screen, you may have a relationship with somebody, but you're not seeing that effects until like 6 months later, where you kind of have that time to sit down with your partner, figure things out, be there for your kid. So since his life is how he makes money, I think it just hurts him in the back end because people are gonna always ask questions like, "Oh, what happened to your son? Why is he not here? Why don't we see him?" We saw the same thing with Krishan, right? And whenever the baby wasn't with Blueface, we were like, "Wait, why are you crashing out doing this? And you're not with your kid." Same thing with Krishan. Anytime she was out in the club, they're like, "Oh, why are you not with your baby? Who's watching the baby?" Right? So I think that's just the double-edged sword that you get, especially when you become an entertainer whose life is built off of YouTube or streaming. It's just a situation he has to figure out.
For sure. Yeah, I can attest to that. I've definitely had my run-ins with things making content. So I've seen it firsthand. It's a double-edged sword. And like you said, it's very different because his content is his life. So the way I see it, what I think went down, right? Because they were a model relationship until they had the kid. But what I believe is, and like it's not new that he's a streamer and that he vlogs his life and he stages stuff. But now after they had the kid, I think now she's all feeling a way that he was making the kid go viral, and this is what he does. This is what he does. His whole family, his nephew, he made his nephew a star by doing so. So, but I just think as soon as the kid came around, now that became an issue. Why are you putting him on camera? I don't want him on camera today. He doesn't, and she's being very, motherly. Like, hey, let him evolve as a kid. And DDG's like, this is what I do. So they probably parted ways due to that. And now she's being, I for sure I've been seeing his TikTok content. It's been all girl related stuff, going on dates or having girls around because he's single. And I think she's being a little petty on the back end due to it. So those are issues that he got to deal with. Funny, I saw a
I want to
clip.
ask.
I saw a
Go
clip
ahead.
just this morning. It was him, Blueface, sitting in a car, and Blueface was literally telling him he's about when you have a kid, watch out for this and that. He's like, nah, when I have a kid, like my baby's mom stuck with me for life. She gonna love me. It's gonna be perfect. He's like, I'm telling you, the moment the kid comes around, things might change. It's possible that things will change, and she'll use the kid as like a weapon to get back at you. He's like, nah, why would that happen? Nah, never in a million years. He's literally saying, and Blueface was sitting there serious trying to give him game, and he was like, nah, never me. So it's very interesting to see that is literally happening, and you have all of this on camera. So, what were you gonna say, Sosin?
Oh, so the question that I was gonna ask is, he's doing all this relationship stuff on YouTube or whatever, right? Deshae is doing the same thing, and people canceling him, right? So my question here with DDG is, can he do other types of content that will put him in good grace with Halle, right? Like he doesn't need to do the women content. He's done it before. He's perfected it with Seven and whoever else, Ruby, etc. But does he need to continue to do like? Is there other avenues of content that he can do that don't have his kid
The answer is
on the screen?
no. He's unfortunately he's gonna have to continue doing it. One, because he's a single man. He was saying they since they broke up they haven't been dating or anything at all. So if your life is your vlogs and your content, and you're a single man, then your life is going out and being a bachelor and trying to hopefully find a new girlfriend and blah blah blah. So he has to show that process, and some people are going to be upset, watching it, and that's just what it is. And those are things you got to deal with when your life is ongoing vlog. So yeah, it's unfortunate, but my last take on this is there shouldn't be any issues. He was the same person when she met him. He was the same person when he was putting his nephew on and making his nephew go viral. He's the same person when he had his kid. I haven't seen DDG act any differently. He's the same person through and through. He vlogs. He shows his life. His whole family vlogs. Everyone in his life is a vlogger. It's just she was cool with it. Everything was cool until the kid came around. So I hope DDG, solves this. But I don't think there should be any issues to begin with. It's very silly to me, especially when there's a kid involved and it's a son and you're not letting him see his dad because he's doing what you've known him to do. It's very silly to me. Very silly, but it is what it is. So we'll end on, the last topic we have here. I want to get y'all thoughts, right? Rowdy Rich. So he's been pushing back this album. It's supposed to be called the Navy album, a project that was supposed to drop last year that he's pushed back at least once. So at this point, do you think he's overthinking the release of his, I believe it will be his third project? Or do you think he has another classic on the way and he just wants to make sure the rollout is perfect and people get to listen and see it?
I think he's just under too much pressure, and I think he's dropped things that just haven't got the reception that I think he wanted, so that kind of slows up the progress. And it's again, you come out with a great album with a diamond record on your first album, which doesn't happen to everyone. So how do you follow that up? Because most artists never get a diamond record, and when you get one, it's hard to get two. So I don't know how you follow that up. I just think he needs to be a lot more confident. I know that he saw kind of a lot of the negative reviews, and he says, I'm going to come back with better music, but just got to put it out. His feature on Kendrick's album on GNX Dodger Blue, he did great on that. But I assume that's with a lot of Kendrick's guidance. And I always recommend this to an artist. I mean, you don't have to listen to me because who am I? But maybe you just have to lock in with one producer and just let that producer work the album. It did wonders for Nas and what he did with Hit Boy. Lock you on the West Coast. There's a lot of producers out there who can help you with that West Coast sound, or who can help you with a national sound, and it'll probably produce some of your best work. I think that would be my advice to him. I don't think we're going to get that on this album, but if this kind of flops, I think that's the best thing he can do, is kind of lock in and get back to kind of the root of what he was doing. Sometimes when you get rich, you can't relate to the music you were making when you were poor. So I think maybe that's the struggle he's going through right now.
Yeah, it's very interesting, right? Because when I think of another artist that may have been in his position but was able to prevail, I think about Snoop Dogg, right? When Doggy Style dropped, like, what did it go? 4 times platinum, etc. But like, every album preceding that, it did chart. He did get awards from it, but it wasn't as big as Doggy Style. I'm talking about, post like NWA stuff, right? Like him on his solo career, right? So what was he able to do? He was able to go pivot and make sure that his face became a brand across multiple different avenues. And I think that's what's hurting Roddy Ricch, right? This whole antisocial, like I get it, you may be antisocial just given the circumstances that he grew up in, but it's hard for us to kind of appreciate and respect the work that you're putting into your craft or just trying to evolve as an artist when we don't understand you as a person. And I think that really hurts him a lot. We don't really understand you as a person. We don't see you unless you drop. And it's also like I feel like you just haven't hit the pinnacle of your career to just be doing things like that, where you can just disappear and we don't need to know you as a person. Like take SZA, for example, right? She takes time between dropping projects, but in between all this time, she's still doing interviews. We're still kind of seeing other sides of her, whether it's through like marketing deals and things like that. So I think that's kind of is what's hurting Roddy. He's overthinking it. And then also like we just don't know him as a person outside of that, critically acclaimed album. So
yeah, he hasn't built that connection with his fans and people who aren't his fans. And he may have missed the time to do so when Please Excuse Me being antisocial was going crazy. That's when he needs to capitalize off that and branch off into things that he likes. But he kind of disappeared. And I was just listening to the project the other day. It's amazing. Like he's some amazing records on there. But yeah, like to Jay's point, going viral. I mean, not going viral, but having a diamond record out of the gate, it definitely probably built some type of mindset where he's thinking, what, like, why do I need to do these things anyways? Like I'm great, I'm amazing. Why do I need to do interviews? Why do I need to do these brand deals? Why do I need to do that? This label trying to get him do. I've heard him say this. He's like, the label lets me do whatever I want. Like they'll never tell me no because do y'all know how like the records I broke or whatever. So yeah, I think he just needs to get grounded a little bit. And I hope this project, hits. It sounds like I heard a snippet. Sounds like it's gonna be more of what we're used to from him from the Antisocial project. So I don't think we're gonna get a new sound. I think we're gonna get the old Rowdy that did well last time. That's what I'm expecting. So we'll see if it ever comes out.
Another artist that I can think of that's kind of in his position is like think of Bryson Tiller, right? When he first dropped that first tape, and then I forgot what he followed up with. It was like a black and red cover. Whatever he followed up with, everybody was like, "Oh, this is trash." I think, like we said, Roddy Ricch is facing that same pressure, right? You coming out of the gate, dropping critically acclaimed, but he just needs to keep dropping, right? And if he wants to go back to that old sound, then go back to it. And like Jay said, just pick a producer you could stick with, right? And I think that's why we got Bryson Tiller's last album. I think, what was it called? I know there's a song Calypso, and I forgot what it was called in particular, but I think that's why it did really well. He just went back to his old sound. He went back to that formula and just gave the fans what they want. So, Roddy, just do the same. If you see this clip, do the same, bro.
Yeah, man. He makes good music. He just gotta put it out, I guess. Probably has mad music saved up, but it is what it is, right? So we'll wrap that up. That's about 5-6 topics out the way. So we should be good for this week. So that's another episode of Soundcheck Series Debate. And I'll catch y'all next time. 'Cause I'm not one of them. If I'm gripping on a Glock, I will pop one of them.